Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And let's go and take a look where we stand here with the currencies. Bear with me. Taking a look at the euro, we are a bit lower here. Let's go move into the daily. Basically retesting the low from Friday, which actually was our buys chart support, although I was concerned that they'd still keep pushing it on Friday. Did see a little bit of a bounce at the time. Cable, also just a tad bit lower, but in a very quiet trading session. Aussie, same thing. Look at that, how quiet it is. And the Kiwi, same thing. So we're trading a very, very quiet session. Dollar CAD just a little bit higher in an inverse type of move, but same thing in very, very quiet trading. And the dollar yen a bit weaker here. Take a look at the cash dollar index. We're just a tad bit higher. Probably makes some sense as a euro, the Aussie, the Kiwi. They're all paring back a bit in a very tight range. And Irina says if we can please take a look at Bitcoin, we'll go and do that. Bear with me. Bitcoin's still trading and somewhat quiet. After we had made those runs up at 62 and then made another jump here, you can see where we paired back and we've actually just trading within, we talked about here, they came into that support previously and we're trading that little band of support. Let's take a look at it on a daily. Got a little bit of a gravestone doji here. See that? This might allow for a pullback. We'll see. As we make this run here, you can see we get a little bit of a medium-legged doji here. So you get a medium-legged doji means bulls don't have control, bears don't have control. Then we get this gravestone doji, which opened the door, and that's what they faded on that gravestone doji. You can see that they held the right here, the there you go. You can see this open right there. That's exactly where they found support. And of course, we moved higher, we dipped back, and we're trading relatively quiet, but we haven't really moved a whole lot. Let's put this back towards a 2-hour chart. Fairly quiet as we trade in this range here. I think the door's still open. They could possibly peer back, but we seem to be just consolidating here. The door is open for us to pull back a little bit lower. I think the way this market's trading, look at here, we made this move up in here, two solid bars, and we're struggling to get any higher. I think we might be able to press lower here, and I think this might resolve ourselves where we dip back here, maybe clean out some stops and make a move back towards this 54. I'm not necessarily saying it today, but it certainly looks like it might be something where this would be a great area for them to clean out a few people that have been long, and we might even press even a little bit further. If you look in this area, they're holding up well. I can give them that, but I just feel like it's open, or let's say it's susceptible for another pullback, and that pullback initially would find a support just below 55, but I wouldn't be surprised if they break even lower over some time and we come down into 51.500. And probably the better demand comes in right there, right at 50,400. I think there's a potential for that. Take a look here in the daily. We did go and hold up on Friday, despite them canceling the that leverage ratio for the banks. I thought Friday we could have actually rallied, but that news kind of shook up the market. And but I think that I wouldn't be trusting any moves until we get at least a couple of hours into the U.S. session. Although I do think that we're going to be working a little bit higher, but I wouldn't be surprised if we work a little bit higher, and then just a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and maybe we start to pull back a little bit later on in the afternoon. Not saying a heavy pullback, but I think we could see the market kind of hold up okay. But I really wouldn't trust any moves until we get 2 hours into it because it's a Monday to start with. Last week was we saw quite a bit of volatility. Then, of course, on Friday they got kind of surprised with that news, and then we did recover off of that. Not a whole lot, but we did recover a little bit. I think the door's open for us to move back up. And take a look here with the S&Ps. Oh, we're stepping back here on support here. They may be open. It's interesting. They're a bit on the weaker side, unlike the NAS. This could potentially go for another 24 pips. Really, I guess about 24 ticks lower, 24 handles lower, potentially. We're going to move back in. Yeah, as far as Bitcoin, Irina was asking, I think it's a little bit vulnerable here. I think I thought it did a fantastic job holding up. I just think that it might feel a little bit long in the tooth, and I think that we can break a little bit lower. But it's done a great job holding up so well. It just doesn't feel like a consolidation at this point. It just seems like it does. It's consolidating, but it just looks a little. It feels a little bit vulnerable. But I think they're going to have to dip a little bit lower, clean some people out. Let me move. And I haven't even traded Bitcoin in a while. I had gotten out of those positions with some profit, and I hadn't ventured back in. Someone mentioned about oil, so let's just go and take a quick look at oil. After that big drop we saw, here it is on the daily. Came right into support there. Look at that. But they overshot it, but initially they held, which was what, 58.93. Makes sense. They would take out beyond 60, and they've rallied back up. High. Well, the close on Friday was 61.45. We're a little bit lower. Take a look at on 2-hour chart. It's kind of quiet. Oh, it could be that they've already rolled. Let's see where. Yeah, I think they were already rolled into May. So hold on. There we go. Still quiet though. Look at that. Take a look here. Gold. Gold's kind of been a bit quiet itself, but I think Bitcoin has stolen gold's thunder. So whereas people would have rushed into gold for different reasons, it's much easier to move into Bitcoin. But even gold here looks a little bit suspect right here. And with that, we'll just go and take a look at some news. Australian New Zealand dollars weaken as Turkish lira plunge triggers flight to safety havens. Australian New Zealand dollars weakened against the greenback on Monday as a plunge in the Turkish lira bit into investor appetite for risk as a week of losses for oil and iron ore also hit the commodity-sensitive currencies. The Aussie was down 0.5% at a four-session low of 77.08. The New Zealand dollar dropped to 71.45. Worries that a crumbling Turkish lira will cause disruption in other financial markets saw investors move into the safety of the US dollar and the yen. Price action is likely to remain choppy today, analysts at Aussie and New Zealand Banking Group said. For the Australian dollar, the direction of US Treasuries, which last week rose to a 14-month high, supporting the greenback while hitting bonds in Australia and New Zealand, will continue to be a key factor to watch. Rising long yields are likely to be an ongoing challenge for Australian dollar as global equities balance an improving earnings outlook with potential portfolio shifts to bonds. And with crude leading commodities lower, iron ore are following quickly as the rise of further weakness of the Aussie dollar are clear to see. Turkish lira falls and central banks shake up dollar and yen advance. The Turkish lira slumped toward a record low versus the dollar after President Erdogan stunned investors over the weekend by replacing the hawkish central bank governor with a critic of high interest rates. The yen rose against the euro and the Antipodean currencies on speculation that Japanese investors who have been buying the lira recently for its high rates will cut losses and close out their positions. Worries that events in Turkey will cause disruptions in other financial markets have also supported the dollar because of the status as a safe harbor currency. Other emerging market countries are not in the same position as Turkey, but there could be some contagion, said Masafumi Yamamoto. There are concerns that people will start taking profits in other markets that looks like a time to rethink your investment strategy because the rotation into higher yielding emerging market currencies will be on hold. The Turkish lira stood at 8.0500 per dollar, down 10% from its close on Friday. At one point, the lira fell by as much as 14.9%. Analysts said they are braced for bigger moves as more investors enter markets later in the day. The yen edged up against the euro, Aussie, and New Zealand dollar. The dollar eased slightly to 882 yen. Erdogan fired the central bank governor only 2 days after a sharp rate increase that was meant to head off inflation nearly 16% and support the lira. After regaining investor confidence with a series of aggressive rate hikes, Turkey has snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, analysts at Brown Brothers Harriman wrote in a memo. Worries that turmoil would spread to other emerging markets helped the dollar rise against the Thai baht and Indonesian rupiah and Philippine peso. So we're going to start an analysis. And Amira wanted to go and look at the platinum. So let's take a look. You can see here how the market and look on Thursday, we had a gravestone doji, because you can see here, look at this little rally. We get a gravestone doji, and then we get a little mini hammer, looking like, okay, maybe they put it in the bottom. But once we closed below that and gave you another gravestone doji, the market opened for us to follow here. We came back up and a little bit more follow through. Immediate support is going to be right there. Immediate, which is right there, 1158. That would be immediate support. But this market, you can see here, after we broke lower, we tried to rally, and then we got this area of indecision. You see here, a little bit of a gravestone doji, a hammer. And we kind of hold, but do we add on to what looks to be like a good defense, a defense of that gravestone doji? No, we just kind of stutter. You see? So if you can't add on to it, then it loses the confidence and they drop back. They come back. Okay, maybe we kind of hold. We close below the close there of the prior 2 days, and that opens the door for us to go down. We get that down, the same thing, but they're like, you know what? I'm not buying this now. You fooled me once, so they just take it down even lower. So that would be the immediate support for today, which would be 1158. But my guess is they got to come down here to 1130 to clean out some folks. Anyway, let's go move into the analysis. The euro on Friday held bias chart support of 1871, closing just above 19 even. The risk is for a lower move. Support for the week will be 1829. I'm not saying it's going to get to 1829 today, but that is what I'm looking for potentially as we move lower into the week. With resistance at 1947. So I think today's a day of indecision. I'm not trying to say, oh, I think it's going to hold at 1853. I'm just going to lay out what we're looking at for the week ahead and potentially can get down there. So looking for 1829. And on the upside, if it could have rallied, and which we didn't because there's been a move into the dollar with safe haven, would have been 1947. Outlook still remains bearish. Moving on to the cable. Cable posted its lowest close for the week on Friday. Support to start the week will be 37.95 with resistance at 39.28. You can see once again wide ranges where you generally don't have that, but I think today's going to be a little bit of indecision after what has transpired last week and then Friday. Aussie dollar. So the Aussie finished the prior week flat. The pair remains vulnerable to a pullback. Support to start the week will be 76.59 with resistance at 77.96. Onto the Kiwi. The Kiwi on Friday posted its lowest close for the prior week. The pair is open for a move lower. Support to start the week will be 71.19 with resistance at 71.88. On to the CAD. The dollar CAD saw a turnaround as the week closed. Support will be 24.43 with resistance at 25.73. And you can see everything's traded in a tight range, relatively speaking. Onto the dollar peso. Obviously, you've seen this gap up because of what's happening in Turkey. The dollar peso held the 2023 area during the pullback. The pair is is open to a slight rebound. Support remains 2023 with resistance at 2070. Well, we're pushing beyond that, and in this situation, then that's when I will adjust because there is a definitive reason why we've pushed higher. So resistance at this point is going to be right there, 2085. And support 2062. Onto the dollar yen. The dollar yen, despite the ramp up in US yields, could not challenge the weekly level of 957. The BOJ may see some impact. Resistance will be 930, followed by 957, and support will be 835. Well, there are no changes there. 835, 930. And the dollar index. The dollar index posted a bullish cloud cover. You can see that here. The close was disappointing in light of the run-up in U.S. yields and the subsequent risk. Okay, it looks like it didn't update from Fridays. I don't know why that didn't happen. But you can see here, let me see if I can pull up what the actual text on that says. Not sure why I didn't save it. Says the dollar index remains stuck in a range. Resistance to start the week will be 92.26 with support at 91.37. We are a little bit higher because of the whole Turkish lira thing, but it's going to be 91.37. And 92.26 will remain the same. On to the cross rates. The Kiwi yen closed at the lows of the week. Bulls could use a respite. Immediate support will come in at 77.51 with resistance at 78.32. On to the euro pound. This thing is just stuck in the lows. The euro pound twice held the weekly level of 85.31 as the week closed out. Support to start the week will remain 85.31 with the resistance at 86.14. And we're stuck in the mud here. Onto the euro odd. The euro odd posted a small hammer on Thursday, successfully defending the weekly level of 52.98. Resistance to start the week will be 54.25 with support remaining at 52.98. So it still remains the same, no changes. On to the Euro Kiwi. The Euro Kiwi was able to close above the weekly level of 65.72. The pair is open to some short covering. Resistance will be 66.88 with support at 65.47. On to the Aussie yen. The Aussie yen closed the week on its lows after posting a gravestone doji on Thursday. Support to start the week will be 83.76 with resistance at 84.79. And on to the guppy. The guppy closed at the lows of the week as it stalled in the 52-cent area. Support will be 50.20 with resistance at 51.67. And lastly, sterling odd. The sterling odd continues to thrash near the bottom. Resistance is 79.79 with support at 78.25. And there you have it. There's the bias chart complete. And as I said, we're starting, despite the news from Turkey, across the board, we're trading relatively quiet. I think that has a lot to do with the volatility we saw last week, and then we saw that swing, on Friday morning with the news from the Fed. At this point, as I said, and then on top of that, it's a Monday. I would not give any credence to any moves until we're 2 hours into the cash open. Do what you want. I'm just saying is, I think that I would not be surprised if we continue to we open and we open mixed, maybe test a little bit lower, maybe then we push a little bit higher, a little bit higher. I would not be surprised if we move a little bit higher as the day continues to unfold, and then maybe we see a little bit of a pair back late in the afternoon. But there we are, and there's the bias chart, and we'll see you in the chat room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.